Hello friends, looking at current affairs for 17th April, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 12. We'll look at them in detail. The first news item is Election Commission seeks funds for paper trail units. So this is the Election Commission asking the Union Law Ministry to urgently release funds for procuring VVPAT machines. So what is VVPAT? Voter verifiable paper audit trail machines. So these have to be used for the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Supreme Court had asked the Election Commission to put them in place for the previous elections, 2014 Lok Sabha elections, but they could not be done because of VVPAT machines not being available. So now again Supreme Court is asking the Election Commission to give a rough schedule, to provide that rough schedule, that how the entire system would be introduced, what would be the timeline. So that is there. So now of course it is subject to sanction of funds. So that is why now Election Commission is asking urgently funds need to be released, because over 16 lakh VVPATs will be required and the cost would be 3,174 crores. But of course this is one time cost, because once VVPAT machines are in place, then they can be used for later elections also, just like EVMs. So this, they say, at least 30 months would be required for the manufacturing of these VVPATs once funds are released. So this is the news here. What are VVPAT machines and why are they being called for? We know it is already been discussed. We'll discuss it once again here too. So these are the VVPAT machines. They are attached to the EVMs, the electronic voting machines. And once the voter votes a particular candidate or political party, the symbol, it would come out as a print slip on this voter verifiable machine. So this paper audit means a paper print would come out. This can be verified by the voter. So he can see what he has voted for, and this print is not taken out. This print remains inside. So this, what happens is, just the voter is allowed to observe, look at it. So then what happens is, later whenever there are any issues and there needs to be an auditing done of how the votes have come forth, this paper audit trail can be used for that. So this is the benefit VVPAT. Since presently we are seeing that EVMs are being accused of being tampered. So if VVPAT is there, then auditing can be easily done and it can be verified that whether the counting and the recording were correct or not. So these are the VVPAT machines. Next is triple talaq misuse will lead to social boycott. So this is the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, which is saying that if triple talaq is misused, it is done without valid Sharia reasons, then the boycott should be there by the society of these people. So this is the present development coming forth, because All India Muslim Personal Law Board claims that it has full constitutional right to implement Muslim personal laws in the country. So these are being safeguarded. That right to freedom of religion as such, they claim, is being safeguarded by interference from the government and the judiciary. But the idea is triple talaq. The news comes forth as triple talaq has to be ended, but this triple talaq is actually the ideal way of divorce. What is to be ended and what the central government and the judiciary is also emphasizing is of one form of triple talaq, which is called talaq-e-bidat. So talaq-e-bidat and triple talaq, as such, the whole idea is different. Triple talaq, the way divorce occurs in Islam is that once a talaq is uttered by a male, by the husband to the wife, then there is a period of reconciliation which is mandated. So this period of reconciliation and arbitration is there. So even family members, adults can be involved here to reconcile the differences, and then the couple can be together again. So there is a period of iddah, waiting period, during which reconciliation has to be done. So this is around 3 months generally. So this waiting period is there. In this period, if reconciliation happens, great, the couple is together, there is no divorce which has occurred. And if it goes on, the marriage goes on, it can go on for years. If again at some point of time the husband occurs talaq as such, then again there is a mandatory waiting period, iddah period, reconciliation has to be done. And then again, if later at any point of time, the third talaq, whenever it is uttered, then it is talaq. So this is triple talaq, means it's two intermediate periods of reconciliation mandated. So that is what the triple talaq actually means. But what was done, this talaq-e-bidat is this form of triple talaq in which the husband just uttered talaq thrice, talaq, 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 in a go, and the talaq occurred. So this was actually not liked and rebuked by the authorities then, but it was allowed. The talaq was given. So this sets a precedent. So this continues now too, and the All India Muslim Personal Law Board they says that this is permissible. So this is what is being fought against. So males can also divorce the females by talaq, uttering talaq, and also females can go for khula. So they can also get divorced in Islam. So both are allowed. So these are the ways if talaq takes place. What is being sought is that talaq-e-biddat should end. So that is the issue. So presently, the 5-judge constitutional bench of the Supreme Court, it will hear the petitions on triple talaq from May 11. So this is going to be in news for some time now. The next is states turn to dogs to check wildlife crimes. So this is training of dogs, a squad of sniffer and tracker dogs which are being strengthened so that wildlife crimes can be combated. So training of dogs in India for wildlife crime prevention has been pioneered by Traffic, which is a global wildlife trade monitoring network. So this is a joint program of WWF and IUCN, Worldwide Fund for Nature and International Union for Conservation of Nature. They also cooperate with the Secretariat of CITES, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, Plants and Animals. So this is Traffic. The next is Cyclone Maruth may trigger rain in Odisha. So this is regarding the cyclonic storm Maruth. So there may be rains or thunder showers occurring in some places in Odisha because of this. So tropical cyclones, these are intense rotating low pressure storms which develop over the warm tropical oceans. They produce strong winds and heavy rainfall too. So there's many times it leads to flooding also. So tropical cyclones are different from temperate cyclones. So these differences are listed out here, you can see. So tropical, they happen in the tropical region, that is 8 to 20 degree latitudes, north and south, means both the hemispheres. And temperate cyclones are 35 to 65 degree latitudes region in both north and southern hemisphere. These are thermally induced cyclones. So these are because the temperature of the sea surface increases. So because of which cyclones develop. And these are dynamically induced, means because of movement. So these are because of collision of two different air masses that temperate cyclones happen. So their radius is quite limited, around 300 kilometers. Their radius can go up to 1920 kilometers as such too. And tropical cyclones, they move from east to west, and they move from west to east. So these are global wind patterns because of which, so again, east to west. So as we are seeing from Bay of Bengal, these tropical cyclones develop and move towards Odisha. So that is the east to west movement. And their movement here, tropical cyclones happen very quickly. Therefore, their paths cannot be predicted. This movement is gradual. In temperate cyclones, their paths can be predicted. Or the speed of the winds here can go up to 120 km per hour, which is very high. And here it can go more than 120 km per hour. It can be around 40 to 50 km per hour in case of temperate cyclones. And finally, as we saw, they originate only on sea, tropical cyclones, and they dissipate on reaching the land. And here, as sea surface temperatures is what energizes the tropical cyclones. So they originate on sea only and dissipate on reaching land. Temperate cyclones can affect much larger area, as we saw, and can originate on land as well as on sea. So these are the major points of differences. The next is GNFC to facilitate digital transition of residential townships. So GNFC, this is Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers and Chemicals Limited. So this has been appointed by Niti Aayog as the nodal agency to facilitate digital transition of residential townships across the country. So this itself, GNFC, is a residential township. A state-owned, means government-owned residential township. So this, after demonetization, became the first residential colony to adopt digital modes of payment. So for fertilizers and other products, the booking, selling was done using digital payment options. So this has been impressive, and the Niti Aayog has now appointed it as the nodal agency so that other residential townships in the country too can be, can go ahead and have digital payment options put in effect. So all central public sector companies, the townships here, around 81 townships are there here. So these have been selected, like ONGC, Indian Oil, these townships. There's also private sector townships like of Reliance, SR, Adani Birla. They have also been selected. So this will be the nodal agency. Then next is 31 new seismological observatories soon. So the National Center for Seismology, which is a unit of Ministry of Earth Science, this has said that 31 new seismological observatories would be installed. So this National Seismological Network is maintained by this national center, and these observatories help in recording the seismological activities after an earthquake. So the data about the earthquake after the earthquake has occurred is provided by this National Center of Seismology. So if more seismological observatories are there, then better and quicker data can be provided. Then next is IITs to introduce 4% more seats for girl students. So IITs have now decided that they will add more seats. Means they're not going to provide reservation for girls amongst the present strength, but more seats would be added to provide girl students these seats. So this will be done for a period of 4 years. So from 2018, it would start till up to 4 years. After that, it would be discontinued. So gradually, the number of percentage of women in IITs would increase. So presently, it's around 8%. So that is why the idea is to increase this to up to 20%. So once they achieve this, then it would be discontinued. And of course, the girl students who would be admitted would be those who have cleared JEE advanced exams. Then next is Collegium clears 51 names for High Court. So this is regarding the Supreme Court Collegium recommending 51 names for appointment as judges in 10 High Courts. So the High Court Collegiums had recommended names to the Supreme Court Collegium. So there were 90 names which were received, but the Supreme Court has trimmed this list and only 51 names have been finally referred to the government. So these have been recommended to the government for appointment. So now government has to decide on it. So the collegium system which functions is that the government can send back these names for reconsideration. It can accept or send back. If it sends back for reconsideration and Supreme Court again recommends the same names, then the government has to accept. So it can send back for reconsideration once. So this is how the power lies with the Supreme Court. The government wants reforms in appointment of judges, and what it wants is that the government has the right to reject too. That is what it is seeking. So under the MOP, what the government had provided in its draft, that the government can reject the names of judges on grounds like national security. So the Supreme Court, when it has returned this MOP draft, which it has finalized to the government, in which it states that okay, government can reject on grounds of national security, but still it would be sent back for reconsideration. And if the Supreme Court again reiterates that judge's name, then the appointment should take place. So this is what the Supreme Court has given. So that MOP has yet not been finalized. But as the Supreme Court has said earlier too, that till the MOP is not finalized, the older system of appointments should continue, because we cannot have judicial vacancies accumulating. So that is why now we'll have to wait and watch what would be the government's response on these names which have come to it for appointments. The next is Iran's silence on Jadhav baffling. So this is regarding Mr. Kulbhushan Jadhav, who has been sentenced to death by Pakistan now. So India claims that he was not in Balochistan province of Pakistan as Pakistan claims, but he had been kidnapped from Iran. He was engaged in legitimate business in the Iranian port of Chabahar. So this is Chabahar port which India is developing in Iran. So from here, Pakistani agents kidnapped him. So this is India's statement, and India is asking for investigative support from Iran. So if Iran corroborates this statement of India, if it provides investigation in this matter and the results here, then it would be confirmed. But Iran is not responding to India's request. So this is the issue now. So the thing is that Iran is uncomfortable with India's growing proximity to GCC states, Gulf Cooperation Council states like Saudi Arabia and UAE. So Saudi Arabia and Iran are not on good terms. They are traditionally against each other. So based on the Shia-Sunni issue. So this is the fact. So India's close proximity to these states is also not liked by Iran. Plus also India-Iran relations have been suffering because of the Farzad B gas field. So this is a gas field in Iran which was promised to India. Iran said that this development would be handed over to India. But now Iran is looking for further prospective clients too, who can come forward from Europe, etc., to develop this gas field. So this is one thing. So that is why India has also begun to cut gas imports from Iran, because earlier there were sanctions on Iran. So India was buying oil from Iran, and that is why the relations continued. Somehow we managed that. But now, since the Iran government is no longer under sanctions, the Iran nuclear deal has been finalized with the Western powers now. So that is why now what is being done is that Iran is looking for better prospects. So India is antagonized by this, and we are cutting our gas imports too. So the relations, India-Iran relations, are here an issue. So this is the case. Gulf Cooperation Council, how many members are there? You can see the 6 members here. So this is Saudi Arabia, the major nation. Then you have UAE, Oman, Bahrain, a small island nation here, Qatar and Kuwait. So these are the 6 members of Gulf Cooperation Council. So the common features, these are having large hydrocarbon reserves, means oil reserves. They have harsh climates, scarce water resources, and they have carbon intensive industrial production. So since oil is so easily available, so that is emissions of course here would be their industrial production also takes place based on using these traditional reserves. Then OPEC. OPEC is another grouping, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, so where oil, petroleum is exported. So these are the members of OPEC. So here Iran is also a member. You can see Saudi Arabia, UAE are members. Iran, Iraq, Qatar. So 3 of Gulf Cooperation Council are also members here. 4. Kuwait, Qatar, UAE and Saudi Arabia. So 4 of GCC, and then Iran, Iraq, Libya here. You can see African nations, and 2 from South America. These are members of OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So this is a cartel, means they together decide the prices of petroleum, oil products. So this is there. Then the next news item is China-Nepal exercises don't worry us, India. So China and Nepal are undertaking their first ever military exercise now. This is called Sagarmat Friendship 2017. So this has started and will go on for 10 days. But India says we are not concerned with this military exercise. India-Nepal relations have their own logic. So that is being stated. Also, local level elections will presently be taking place in Nepal. So India's claim is that we want long-term peace, stability in Nepal. The constitutional amendments which are being proposed to uphold the rights of the Madhesis, that is what India is interested in, that there should be justice being done. And plus it says that the local level elections should be taking place peacefully, because this will be a year-long process which will eventually culminate into election of parliament in Nepal as well. So the elections should take place, democracy being established in Nepal is what India is looking forward to. Also, there was another news that local level elections in Nepal would be funded by China. So that was also a news. The next is center links 2 NGOs to Maoists. So NGOs, we are seeing various reasons being given by the government to clamp down NGOs. So this is another case of that. So these are 2 civil rights groups working for the tribal people in Odisha and Jharkhand. So they are being alleged by the government that they are front organizations for the Maoists, and they are using displacement of local communities as a plank for propagating the agenda. So here what was the case is the first NGO which is being protested against is NGO from Odisha, Niyamgiri Suraksha Samiti. So this is protesting against the mining activity in Niyamgiri Hills. So this should not take place, means mining should not take place here. Niyamgiri Hills in Odisha, these were given to UK based Vedanta group for bauxite mining. But the government actually has to follow the process of taking the consent of the people. So people's consent is required in this. So that is why the Gram Sabhas have to vote. So 12 Gram Sabhas voted, and the voting came against any mining activity in the area that would affect their interests. So this was their viewpoint. That is why the government could not allocate this Niyamgiri Hills mining license as such to Vedanta group. So this as such happened. So even the Supreme Court quashed a petition by a corporation to hold fresh Gram Sabha consultation to allow bauxite mining in Niyamgiri Hills. So this is the development. So now the government is saying that this Niyamgiri Suraksha Samiti is a front organization of Maoists, and they're using just this plank of displacement to propagate the ideas. Means making people go against the government. But what are their genuine concerns? They have to be addressed. That aspect also has to be looked into. So this is the case. The second case is in Jharkhand. So this is another NGO in Jharkhand who is protesting against government's decision to amend 2 tenancy laws. So these 2 tenancy laws, you can see Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act and Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act. These laws have been amended by the government. So this will allow use of agricultural land of tribal people for non-agricultural purposes. So they are protesting against these 2 amendments. So again, the government is claiming that these are front organizations for Maoists, and they are just using people to protest and antagonize them against the government. So these are the viewpoints coming forth. So that is the case, that what are the genuine people's concerns, that also have to be looked into is important. The next is Indian Railways draft policy aims at boosting tourism. So this is regarding a draft tourism policy coming from Indian Railways. So this is the first time that it has come up with this such a policy, tourism policy 2017. So this is a draft. It has been put up for public comments and finally it would be finalized after the comments. So this is aiming to increase private partnership too in running tourist trains across the country. So there will be dedicated train services for domestic and international tourists introduced. So that is there. Also, it is planning to bring in other service providers, including IRCTC, to provide hotel accommodation and sightseeing to these tourists. So, and special coaches can also be reserved for tourists on trains which run through tourist spots. So, even these will be auctioned to tour operators. So, this is also suggested in this draft policy. Bharat Darshan trains would be unveiled. So these will be there. Religious tourism will be promoted using Astha circuit trains, state Tirth trains. So Astha circuit trains will be operated by Indian Railways and state Tirth trains will be on the request of state government at their costs. So religious tourism will also be promoted. Even hill tourist stations, hill station tourist trains will also having increased frequency, and even steam trains can be revived is also suggested. So that is about this Indian Railways Tourism Policy 2017. This is the draft uploaded on its website, inviting comments from the public till April 24. After that, it would be finalized. So that is it. Thank you.